frozen tundra of Lambeau Field. Actually, no, we're not. I don't even know where the frozen tundra is, apparently, because I had a pick today. We're in this circa $1 million NFL contest. We gave out 5 free picks. We got to put 5 picks in the contest. Everybody in the crew picked a pick. So I gave out that on a video, and I said, picking the Bears, trying to make a little joke. Frozen tundra. They don't play at Lambeau Field. So that's what I get for day drinking. I'm having a good time, though, day drinking. So right now,
is that a quarter keg so far, or like a 12-pack?
Just a 12-pack. Just like for practice. Just a practice 12-pack to start so far. Hey, this is Follow the Action. And the last 2 weeks, we have been 19-4 on this show. So thank you very much for joining us. This is our UFC show. We do it every Saturday, 1 hour before the prelims. You can get our Follow the Action podcast, fastest growing podcast in the world, downloaded 50 countries, all 50 states, at Apple or Spotify. Also our YouTube channel, which is carrying this live, also called Follow the Action. And let's get you to the crew that is killing it right now. And he is the legend himself, not from the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field. He is Steve Maltap. He's the Philly Godfather. Godfather, how you doing?
Man, I'm surviving, man. College football started off real nice. So far, we started off 3-1, and we're hoping the Army covers here. But other than that, I mean, I'm a little scared for my Philadelphia Eagles tomorrow since coach is on the Washington football team. You know, I'm always nervous when coach is on the side. Hopefully, no one breaks a leg. Haskins doesn't break a leg. Their coach doesn't break a leg. Their wide receiver doesn't break a leg, and he cashes a ticket because we need it for the circuit contest.
And speaking of coach, this man right here, the best combat sports handicapper in the world, just flew out to Vegas because Vegas wanted to see Mr. Joy Odessa. They wanted bagel time. But from what I understand, Mr. Odessa, you picked up coach's bag by mistake at baggage claim. Is that true?
Oh, man. I had a Grace. My wife's packed my suit. Long and short, my wife packs my suitcase. Gray suitcase. I didn't really look at the tags. And the guy said, I said, well, how do I know what bag is mine? He said, well, you got the number on the tag. So I get the tag, and he takes it and he circles the number, but he circled the flight number. So when the gray suitcase came down, I grabbed it, and I saw the flight number that matched my number. So I said, well, shit, good, I'm out of here. So I took this suitcase, took off, get it all the way over to the D, and I get in, I get settled down. I'm like, wow, I got some time. I'm going to shower. I jump in the shower. I get out the shower. And I forgot to put my drawers in there, so I had to run into the other room, you know? I run into the other room with nothing on. I unzip the suitcase, and it's all women's clothes. I said, but at first, I saw like a blouse. I said, what the fuck did my wife do to me here? You know, and then
what do you think? It was a bunch of masks?
Wearing this stuff.
What do you think? It was a bunch of masks or panties, or what was it?
I thought Coach was traveling with me, you know? But needless to say, so I go and... So now I panic, so I got to go all the way, but so that's $50 a pop back and forth to the airport. I get in the car, I'm shit, because I got my suitcase and I got some money in there and some jewelry, and, you know, I got my Fendis and my fucking ZZs, and I'm like, man, if this woman picked my suitcase, she's not going to want to trade for this shit in hers, you know? So I got back there, thank God to have my suitcase. I switched it up, but I was telling Steve, and I told Crackman and everybody else, if I'd opened that fucking suitcase naked and there was like 100,000 in there, I think I'd have probably let my suitcase go.
Would you have put the woman's clothing on? If the money was in there, would you have put the woman's clothing on?
Excellent.
You know, it depends. I'm like, hey, Oscar De La Hoya did it.
For 50 grand, why not?
Hey, if Oscar could do it, Oscar did it for some pussy.
You know what's nuts?
I did it for the money.
Yo, Oscar was at Joanne's gym one day, and we were sitting there bullshitting, and the whole time, I mean, we're talking boxing and history of boxing and different styles, how styles make fights, and in the back of my mind, I'm thinking to myself, does this motherfucker have red lingerie on, man? I don't know. You know what I mean?
But still, right? But I tell you, Oscar pulled chicks, so you can't. I mean,
and he can fight. He can fight. He fought everybody. Yeah. He never ducked anybody.
The comments coming out of Dana White about Oscar De La Hoya are awesome every time he talks about it.
Oh, it's the best.
Well, I guess you can overcome that, but no, you can never overcome that, dressing like that. But you know what? I mean, credit to Oscar, man. He gets that booger sugar going, and he gets.
Yeah, let me tell you. Yeah, if those pictures came out this year, he'd win Courage Man of the Year award, guaranteed.
You know what? I say I just wouldn't have let anybody take pictures. You know what I mean? I mean, put on these stockings. I mean, I'm not going to say I wouldn't have done it. You know,
They would have given him an ESPY if it came. Those pictures came out this year. He would have got an ESPY.
You got to do what you got to do to get some, right?
The other person joining us who has helped us go 9-4, helped the crew go 9-4. I've done nothing but simply moderate the show. These guys are the ones, the experts. He is one half the college kids. He is Matt. Matt, how you doing?
Doing good. I feel like it's sports heaven. We got baseball, NBA, NFL, college football is back. It's awesome.
Congratulations on the Miami Heat plus 365 pick series win. It was going against all standards and all norms. Everybody thought that it was the crowning of Giannis and the Milwaukee Bucks, and you called it. Congratulations.
The crowning of the college kids.
Absolutely. That's exactly what it was. So we got us a big UFC card tonight. Got a couple of COVID replacements as normal. But let's start off with the first fight, and that is Sabine Mazzo. She is minus 230. She has a flyweight matchup taking on Justine Kish, who is plus 190. Mazzo is 8-1 with her record. She is 2-0 as far as KOs, TKOs, 0-0 as far as submissions. She is from Colombia, and she has won her last 2 fights. Justine Kish is 7-2, 0-0 on KOs, TKOs, 2-0 on submissions. She won her last fight, but before that, she had a 2-year layoff fighting from 2018 to 2020. It's a flyweight matchup, as I said, is a 2.5 over/under. It is a minus 350 to take the over in this at 2.5. Philly Godfather, where is the money going on this?
Yeah, today I'll be playing the role of Dave Mason from Bet Online. Early on, sharp money took Kish at plus 225. That line opened up with Mazzo as high as 285, and as of right now, it's 220 at Bet Online. Don't forget, we got a Bet Online power boost that will enhance your bank account. So that's where the money's at right now, John.
Wait a minute. You look a lot like Steve. Dave finally comes on camera.
They've never seen me and Philly Godfather in the same place at the same time.
We don't know. We don't know what the Dave Mason looks like. So it could be the Philly Godfather.
Right?
Yeah, he's a little. No, honestly, Dave's a little under the weather. We hope he gets well real quick. I think he's got the sniffles down there in Costa Rica, so he'll be back next week.
Yep, we do wish him the best, obviously, our friend Dave Mason. Joey Odessa out there in Las Vegas with your suitcase full of women's lingerie. How do you got this fight?
You know, I like Mazzo. This whole card, I'll say something about this card, and a lot of people might be disappointed. I don't like a lot on this card. You know, these favorites are, you got favorites here that are 2-1 favorites that were under, you know, that were 2-1 underdogs not that long ago, you know, that weren't that, you know, that aren't, I don't want to say not qualified to be 2-1 favorites, but you just don't feel comfortable with them. Like it's, you know, those Tuesday night fights all the time. The talent gap, you know, bad fighters, you know, bad teams play bad. And I'm not saying bad fighters, average fighters fight average. That's why, you know, they make a lot of mistakes. And that's what this card is. I mean, you go up and down this card, and I look at this card, I say, oh, this, you know, Mazzo should win this fight. There is some sharp action on Kish. People are talking about it out here in the desert, but you know, the numbers, you know, do I want to go away 275 on Mazzo? Would it open? No, probably not. The value guys would say bad Kish. But I think Mazzo wins this fight. I think it'll probably be close. I think Mazzo will squeak it out.
Billy Godfather, do you have something on this fight?
Absolutely not. I didn't touch the fight. I mean, if that line keeps dropping, if it gets down to 175 by Fight Town 180, I might be looking to bet the favorite. But as of right now, I'm not touching the fight.
And Matt, do you have something on this fight?
I didn't bet anything, but I mean, we're looking at Kish. The last 7 fights have gone to the decision. And then you're looking at Mazzo, and when you look at Mazzo, she's gone to distance in all her fights in the UFC. That's why probably the over's juiced at 325. But I don't know, man. It's a tough one. You know, Kish has that kickboxing background, and I know she has the speed and cardio and everything, but Mazzo, she holds that 2-inch height advantage. She comes in with 4.5 leg reach advantage, and she comes in, I think, with a 6-inch reach advantage. I mean, I didn't take nothing on it. Line keeps on dropping. I think Mazzo's the move.
Yeah, Kish has never been stopped either. Kish has never been
stopped. Would you touch the over on this with that huge price to it, or would you leave it alone? Matt?
Well, at this point, you know, if I was, you're asking me? At this point, it would, what's that?
Either one of you guys.
You know,
I
with
think I think there's
Mazzo,
women's clothing a little
I
tight
think
on
Mazzo
Joey over
wins.
there.
What's that? I think Mazzo wins the fight, and if I hadn't put a gun in my head, I'd like 285. What'd you say?
No,
Just more
thank you.
neighbors. I don't mean to talk over you. I'm sorry.
No, keep firing, Joe. Keep firing. Don't sweat it. Just bet it.
No, if you were gonna lay, gun to my head, I'd say, all right, I'm gonna bet the winner. I'm gonna bet Mazzo. I'd lay 285 on the opener. I guess, and most likely outcome is an over. So if you're gonna lay 285 on Mazzo, if you price right around 300 on paper, you might just bet the over there. Yeah, so I think Mazzo wins. I agree with Steve. I mean, if that drops below 200, I think it's a really good price. Cheap price. I think it's too cheap. I think the opener was right.
Joey, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. We don't tell anybody.
No,
Yeah.
but now, I'm on camera, so it can't.
JBL.
You should see on the other side of the camera. There's all kinds of stuff going on over there. But
JBL, you sure Coach didn't bet the Eagles? Because Miles Sanders ain't making the trip. He's not playing for the Birds anymore. You sure he didn't bet the Eagles?
Maybe we can get him to change right quick.
No, don't do it.
that went right over my head.
The second fight of the card is a welterweight matchup. Brian Barbarina is minus 230. He is a southpaw. He is 14-7 as far as his record. 10 KOs to his credit. 2 he has lost by KO, TKO. 2-1 on submissions. And fighting Anthony Ivy, who is a plus 190. At least these are the odds that I got about 3 or 4 hours ago off the sportsbook. Anthony Ivy plus 190. 8-3 is his record. 5-1, 3-2 as far as submissions. They call him Aquaman. He lost his last fight to Aguilera, which we covered here on June 13th of this year. Barbarina lost his last 2 fights. His last win came on August 25th, 2018. The over-under stands at 1.5 with a juice minus 150 to pay if you want the over. Steve, Philly Godfather, or Dave Mason, whoever we have here, what do you got on the money and the lines?
Yeah, originally this line opened up with Brian Vinny Barbarino as high as minus 280. And some sharp money bid on Ivy at plus 210 or better. As of right now, the line's 228 at Bet Online. Barbarino's a favorite. There's some sharp money on Ivy here.
Sharp money on Ivy. Joy, do you have anything on this fight?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, look, this Barbarino, he lost his last 2 fights, right? He's 0-2. He lost to Randy Brown and he lost to that bouquet. And here he is. He's almost a 3-1 favorite. UFC's throwing him a softball here on Ivy. Ivy's been stopped in all 3 of his fights. How do you feel comfortable betting a guy that lost his last 2 fights? I mean, not to say losers are losers because they lose. And Barbarino lost his last 2. Ivy got crushed by Christian Aguilera. I guess that was his UFC debut. Oh, no, excuse me. He lost his UFC debut against that Christian Aguilera, who got crushed by Philadelphia Sean Brady. Remember that kid, the Brady kid? The monster
good,
kid.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, it's just, I don't. A value guy would probably go up this card and take the dogs and say, look, a lot of these are coin flips, including this one. Barbarino wins it, but how do you lay that price on a guy that lost his last 2 and it's just not. He's not an elite fighter.
Joey, you say it's a value play, but did you actually take a bet on this? I mean, would you actually
No.
take it?
I'm very scared. This card is scarce to bets for me. I'm not. I don't like this card.
Billy Godfather, did you have anything on Vinny Barbarino or Anthony Ivy?
I would nibble on Ivy a little bit, like Joey said. I think this fight's a coin flip. I mean, you're laying 230 on Barbarino. It just doesn't make any sense. I wouldn't go heavy or nothing, but Ivy is definitely the right side. And there's a couple different sharp guys I know on Ivy, and I respect their opinion. So I would bet Ivy for a couple bucks.
Matt, do you have something on this fight?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't have anything on the fight, but Barbarina being at 230 is not right. The number should be lower. Plus 193 on Ivy has the value. So if you're playing the numbers, of course you go with Ivy here.
I mean, does Barbarina win this? I mean, the implied probability is right around 70%, Joe. That's just way too high, ain't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think that 1.5 total. If it was 2.5, I'd bet under in this fight. If I saw a 2.5 under minus, what's the 1.5 over 40? If they hung a 2.5 under, maybe 200 or something, I'd bite on the under.
It's up to 170 at Bet Online. You can go under 2.5 plus 170, over 2.5 minus 210.
Really?
Yeah.
They're using 2.5 there? I think under then.
Oh, I'm
I-
sorry.
I-
You know what? I might be reading the wrong thing.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. No, I was wrong.
Yeah, 'cause,
It's minus
you gotta
150 towards the over, plus 120 towards the under. I was reading the wrong way. I need my
I thought maybe
glasses.
the total derivative on the
The
2.5.
eyes are starting to go bad. I need some glasses.
Oh, Steve. We're on camera, Steve.
It's all right. We gotta have
Next
some
fight
fun.
is a fill-in, Mr. Brock Weaver as a catchweight matchup, plus 325. He's 15-5, a southpaw. 2-1 as far as KOs, TKOs. 3-2 as far as submissions. He's fighting Mr. Jalen Turner, who as of a few hours ago was a minus 400 favorite. He's 9-5, also a southpaw. 8-3 as far as KOs, TKOs. 1-0 as far as submissions. The tarantula, they call him. 2.5 is the over/under. Plus 135 is what it costs you to bet the over on that. Brock Weaver lost his last fight, but he's won 4 of his last 5. Philly Godfather, where is the money?
Yeah, really no movement on Turner yet. Still minus 400. Public's betting Weaver a little bit at plus 300. They always love taking that plus money. The total's at under 2.5, minus 165 at Bet Online, and there's no sharp money that bid on any either one of these fighters yet. So there's no sharp money on this fight.
Joy, do you have something on this fight for this fill-in?
No, but to put it in perspective, Brock Weaver against Frank Camacho, he was more than Camacho was higher than a 2-1 favorite against his Brock Weaver. And to put it in perspective, Camacho lost 4 of his last 5 fights by KO, sub in round 1, KO round 1, KO round 2, 3-round decision, and the win he had was a 2nd-round KO. My point here is that Weaver's just not very good. I mean, I love he's an Indian. He's the kid from the reservation, like real Indian, and he's got an insane heart. It's like Joe Hip of MMA, but he's just not. He's not very good. I mean, if you took his heart, he's got the heart of a champion. You know what I mean? If you rated things like 1 to 10, I'd give this kid a 10, a solid 10 across. But his fighting skills aren't anywhere near his level of heart. So I think that I think it would be a pretty big upset, obviously, if he beat this kid.
Is that a nice way of saying he gets his ass kicked, Joey?
Yeah, I mean, no, I'm trying. But you know what? He's a likable guy. You know what I mean? He comes from the reservation, man, dirt poor. And they signed him from the Contender Series. He's the kind of guy, like, if I'm a fan, I'm not a fan, I'm a fan, but I'm a fan of money. But if you're a fan, he's the kind of guy you like.
You think that's why a lot of the public's betting him?
Probably betting him a little.
You think that's why a lot of the
What's
public
that?
is betting him?
A lot of what?
I said, you think that's why a lot of the public is betting him?
Yeah, sure. Hey, listen, he'll give an honest fight. You talk about guys giving honest fights. This kid's not there for a payday. I mean, it's always about the money. But this kid this kid's got heart, man. I don't think it's about the money. They could probably pay him a lot less and he'd still fight. I mean, he's got a lot of heart. Good kid, but overmatched here.
Matt, do you have something on this fight?
I think Joey's right. I mean, Weaver shows a lot of heart. Most of his fights go to decision, so he lasts in the ring. I mean, the octagon. But the problem is, like Joey said, he's not that good. His first UFC fight, I think he ended up winning because of a disqualification.
Yeah.
He would not have won that fight. Then the last fight, I think he got submitted. And we have Turner. Turner's just towering above him. I mean, he has like 3 inches on him. He has like a 4-inch reach advantage. I just can't see it happening, man. I can't see the underdog coming out here. I don't want to lay 400 on Turner, but Turner's going to win this fight.
Yeah,
So pretty much sounds like Turner is the consensus pick, just the price is too high. Is that correct?
Yeah.
All right, next fight is the gentleman that we almost had, I believe it was last week, was postponed a week for COVID. Alexander King Kong Romanoff at minus 420. He is 11-0, one of 2 undefeated fighters on the card. He has stopped every opponent. He's 5-0 as far as KOs. The other 6 wins all came by submissions. He is a southpaw from Moldova, heavyweight matchup. He's 6'2", 261, fighting Roque Martinez, who is plus 335. I remember this was a few hours ago. 15-5-2 is his record from Guam. 8-2 as far as KOs, TKOs. 3-1 as far as submissions. He's 5'10", 258. So there's only about a 3-pound difference, but a 4-inch difference going to King Kong Romanoff. The over-under is 1.5. Only 3 fights had a 1.5 over under. It cost you plus 125 as of earlier today to take the over. Philly Godfather, what do you have for money?
Yeah, I think this fight originally opened up minus 265 Romanev. It's up to minus 400. A lot of the public's all over Romanev here. I think Dave told me right around 62% of the public is on Romanev as well. But no sharp money on either fighter so far. So that's basically it.
And Joey Odessa, do you have something on this fight?
I don't like the fight. Late replacements. Late replacements, bad fighters, bad beats. Romanov's supposed to win. I mean, I don't know how it goes. And the total is 1.5.
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta lean under. I just don't think, I just don't think he's this Martinez is not very good,
Do you lean under enough to actually place a bet, Joey, or just kind of leaning under?
These guys are just, did you see them at the weigh-in? I mean, you look at them and you say, how can these guys have 5 minutes of gas? I didn't bet it, but I lean under.
Philly Godfather, do you have a lean on the total or on either side?
I mean, bet the under 1.5 minus 150. That's the only way I can bet this fight. I can't see Martinez lasting. I would love at 260 it was a good bet Romanev, and now it's up to 400. I don't know.
And he's no gem, no either. This Romanov is no gem.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I would go under 1.5 minus 150. I didn't bet it personally, but I would lean that way, like Joey said.
And Matt, do you have something on this fight?
Don't have nothing. Didn't really like the fight. Martinez coming here plus 350, but I don't see him lasting. Worst, probably best move on here is like Joey and PGF said, the under 1.5 minus 50.
Next fight is a lightweight matchup. One of the cool names on the card, Roosevelt Roberts, minus 430. He is 10-2 as far as his record. They call him the Predator. He is fighting Kevin Kroom, who's 21-12. Roosevelt Roberts, I think I said minus 430. Kevin Kroom plus 345. Roberts is 3-0 as far as KOs, TKOs, 5-1. As far as submissions, he has fought twice this year. In May, he won over Weaver, and in June, he lost against Miller. Kevin Kroom, 21-12, 6-4. As far as KOs, TKOs, 10-4. As far as submissions, he's fought twice also, in August against Hutchinson and February against Vigilante. And the over-under stands at 2.5, cost you plus 125 to bet the over. Kevin Kroom is a late sub for Vola in this fight. Steve, where do you have the money?
Yeah, no sharp money yet on either side or the total. Roberts originally opened up minus 375. I think he's up to minus 425 at Bet Online. The total's at, like you said, the over's juiced slightly at minus 155 over 1.5. So that's basically what's going on with this fight.
Joy, is this a shitty card, or just people just don't have, are the matchups just bad?
It's just all these late replacements. This Roosevelt Roberts was supposed to fight Matt Favola, and I liked Favola in that fight. I liked under in that fight too, but they canceled. No, those were two of my, betting against Roberts with Favola and under in that fight were two of my, two stronger plays on this card. I mean, it's disappointing. I mean, especially, being out here in the desert now. It's just there's nothing. I didn't go to the window. I did my normal stuff, and we'll get to that fight later. But I didn't go to the window down here, with cash, other than the circuit contest, because the card's just not that good.
Joe,
what do you see in this fight, Joey, with Roosevelt Roberts and Kevin Kroom?
I mean, I guess I got to like Roberts here, but I'm not. I get, it's a strange dynamic because Roberts was coming in as a dog. Now he's expected to win. He'd go from one, because these guys know what they're, they know if they're, when two guys face off against each other, one guy knows. I always believe this. I believe that one guy knows he's going to win, like really believes it, and the other guy's thinking to himself, well, I got a shot to beat this guy. You know what I mean? And I think Roosevelt Roberts just went from I got a shot to beat this guy to now I'm supposed to beat this guy. I think it's a total different dynamic. I think it messes with a lot of guys' heads. But I think Roosevelt Roberts wins the fight. He never beat nobody. He never beat, he lost to Jim Miller and he beat that Brock Weaver. It's got the great heart, But I gotta say Roosevelt Roberts. He's the other kid's short notice. He's short notice, guys. You really don't know what you're gonna get, and what you don't know can hurt you. And I don't know how prepared the underdog is for me to really speak on the bout.
Philly Godfather, do you have something?
Now this line's just way too high for me to nibble on Roberts here. If anything, I mean, I would go over 1.5 in the fight. Krum, he likes to last a little bit. I would go over 1.5. I would lay the 150 over 1.5.
Matt, do you have something on this?
Yeah, like Joey said, in PGF, he's coming in laying 425 against this late replacement, Kevin Krum. Kevin Krum, they call him the hard-hitting hillbilly. He's 21-12. He has 16 stoppages and 21 wins. He's coming in with 10 submissions, and he's supposed to be taking out 10 extra pounds here. I don't know. It's not something I like, this fight. I'd probably stay away.
Joe, you think the correlation between college football being back and all the sports being back? Because this card, to me, I really didn't like much on this card, and the fighters that are on this card really don't excite me. You think?
Yeah, no.
You think there's a reason because of college football coming back? They just threw a card together and said, you know what? Let's just put a bunch of fighters on here.
Well, look at the main event. The guy, I can't say it because I'll offend women, but the main event is a women's fight. And, Ronda Rousey was the big draw. Amanda Nunes, a big draw. Angela Hill stepping up into the spot to sell. Yeah, I almost said to sell this pay-per-view. But, the ESPN Plus is a subscription service. And, Angela Hill moving up into the main event. It's a lot of late replacements. And, again, a lot of people, I think that, the women's fights, people really don't like betting them. And they usually go to decision. And then you got the judges. And the judges are from hunger. You know that. Who wants to, you got to win the fight, and then you got to beat, then you got to sweat the judges. It's horrible. And the women's fight's going over a lot up, and, closely matched, too, because the talent pool is just not that deep in the women's division. Like, that's why Nunes, the first ranked girl and the 10th ranked girl, there's such a, there's a huge difference compared to, like, I don't know, the light heavyweight division where you had Santos, Jones. Anyways, yeah, I think, to answer your question, I don't like the card.
I got you. Yeah, I feel the same way. JBL, when I gave out Army minus 19 to Coach, and he was a little hesitant, he thought maybe the number was a little too high. Let him know. I think the score right now is 37-7 with like 5 minutes left. So next time he has any hesitation, just let me know. You know what I mean?
How many points is that, Joey? It sounds like that's almost 30 points. 37 to 30.
Yeah,
37 to 7.
right.
It sounds like it's almost 30 points.
Yeah, something like that. 36.
Almost.
Yeah, so.
Almost.
I'm just glad Coach liked the game. That's all.
Well, Coach would be joining us right now, but last week he couldn't join us, but he was texting about football during our show. Actually texting about tweeting about the competition during our show.
Unbelievable.
And then Joey took his suitcase in Vegas and got it back.
He's always on the red carpet. He always gets the VIP treatment. He's always hanging with all the stars. We're actually lucky, blessed, and I feel privileged that Coach is on our show.
Yeah.
Me too. And I'm sorry that he's not listening to all this.
Yeah, I wish he was here. I think he's busy with John Cena, though, JBL.
Next fight is a woman's fight. Since we talk about women's fights, Julia Avila is minus 270 in his bantamweight matchup against Saiba Eubanks, who's plus 230. Eubanks is 6-4. She's 2-0 as far as KOs, TKOs. No submissions to her credit. Has not been submitted herself. She's never been stopped. Julia is 8-1, 4-1 as far as KOs, TKOs. 1-0 as far as submissions. They call her the Raging Panda. She's won her last 4. The over-under stands at 2.5. It costs you minus 220 to bet the over. And Eubanks had one fight this year. She won in May against Moraes. Philly Godfather, where do you have the line and the action?
Yeah, Vila originally opened up minus 285, dropped about 5 cents down to 280. Public all over Avila here. Right around, I think Dave told me about 65% of the public money is on Avila. No sharp money has entered the market yet on this fight. And that's pretty much it.
Joey Odessa, do you have something on this fight?
I like Avila here, but again, the number's up to what's in the high low 300s, PG?
Minus 280 right now.
Yeah. Oh, back to 280.
Yeah.
Again, you got to roll the dice with the judges. But I think Avila wins this fight. But It's tough, man. I don't like these judges at the apex. I really don't. And all these cancellations, I mean, it turns into a crapshoot. I mean, flip a coin. And I wouldn't be surprised if the favorites sweep most of this card. It's just one of those cards where the favorites are priced high enough to keep you off them and put you on a live dogs that won't win. And again, in this spot, I think Avo wins this fight. Sure, I do. I mean, am I going to go lay 3-1 on her? Probably not. If she drops below 250, yes, I will.
Yeah, they have 3 fights that are minus 400 or better in this card.
Yeah.
Know about the favorites.
Okay, Coach. All right. You got it. All right. What was that, JBL?
Was that Coach?
Yeah, he just told me he loves Avila, so I'm betting the other way. I'm betting Eubanks. I'm taking the plus 240 on the dog here. I'm not even kidding. He said he loved Avila. He said he's betting a house on Avila. I'm going the other way, JBL.
So Philly Godfather is on Eubanks.
Yep, plus 240. He's got a shot.
Plus 240 got a shot, and the main reason behind that is because of the old universal truth, Coach is on the other side.
Exactly.
Ah, boy.
Matt, do you have something on the spot? You're not going to side with Coach, are you?
Well, I like you. I don't like Eubanks.
Fire, baby. Fade the coach.
Yeah, you got to.
Fade the coach.
She comes in, she's averaging 4.95 significant strikes per round. She's an aggressive fighter. She likes to take down more than Avila. I know she's 1-2 in her last 3. She's 5 in what? What is she in the UFC? 5-4?
5-4.
Yeah, 5-4. And I know Avila is the big time, favorite here. Everyone's on her. She's only lost once in her UFC career. She's 8-1 with 4 knockouts, 3 submissions, and I know this is a big opportunity for her. I think to enter, help her approach that top 10. And she's looking to go through. Everyone's saying she's a beast, this, that. But I'm telling you, Eubanks, she can box and wrestle a little bit. She has some of the most probably underrated jiu-jitsu in her division. I think she has a shot.
Yeah, she built like a man. She's a great shit house.
Yeah, I think she has a shot here, plus 235. I think that's the right side.
So you like Eubanks here, Matt?
Yeah.
I just got off the phone with Mike North. He's contacting the bookie priest, and the bookie priest is going to pray for Avila tonight.
Somebody might have to. Jesus, Coach, I thought Avila would get there, but now the coach, I don't know, she's two with Coach on her back.
Rip up the tickets, Joey and Avila. Rip them up.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
We are to the main card now, and we got the first fight on the main card. It's a featherweight matchup. It is Mr. Kyle Nelson from Canada. He is plus 225 against Billy Quarantillo, who's minus 265, at least earlier today. Quarantillo is 14-2, 5-1 as far as KOs, TKOs, 5-0 as far as submissions. He's won his last 7 fights. Last loss was in April 2016, where he lost by TKO. Fighting Kyle Nelson, the monster they call him, hasn't fought this year. Kyle Nelson is 13-3. He's 5-1 also on KOs, TKOs, 4-1 on submissions. The over-under stands at 2.5. It costs you plus 130 as of earlier today to take the over. Philly Godfather, where do you have the money?
About 58% of the public money is on Nelson here at plus 210. This line originally opened up with Quarantillo, I think right around 95-cent favorite. It shot up to minus 265. It's back down to minus 250. But there's some sharp money actually on Quarantillo, and the sharps are on the other side. So we'll see how this works out.
Joey, do you have something on this fight?
But again, you got, we're talking about like a main card, and a lot of people, Kyle Nelson and Billy Quarantillo. I'm happy that there's more fights, but the Canadian kid he beat that Marco Pollo Reyes by KO round 1, and the other kid, Jesus, Quarantillo wins this fight. I think Quarantillo wins the fight. But again, it's tough to go away. What's he now? Minus what, PG?
Minus 250. You got a little bias towards Canadian fighters. Are they a little soft because of the cold weather, because of the beer, because of how they train? Why the bias against Canadian fighters, Joe?
Well, this kid,
why the hate?
There's only been, and I'm going to piss off a lot of Canadians, but when you think of Canadian MMA, you think of George St. Pierre. Medesi's been like, Medesi's hit or miss all the time. Mike Ricci was the next big thing from out up there, and he got smoked early in Bellator. You know, there's just not a lot of talent. I mean, the TriStar, that whole gym up there was built on GSP. He ends up, I guess, what did he do? He went down there with Jackson Winklejohn, or, you know, I mean, these diehard MMA buffs will take. I just think that, you know, outside of fighting in Canada, you know, where they're matched up more favorably for these guys, you know, they're not, you know what it's like in boxing. They don't bring a guy from Kentucky to New York to win.
He's the opponent. I mean? They're the opponent.
And I feel this way with Kyle Nelson. I just think he's brought in, and you know, Quarantillo is expected to win this fight. You know, and he will. And when it's over, you know, nobody's going to even talk about this fight unless somehow Nelson pulls a big upset. It's just going to be like, all right, you know, expect it.
Joy, do you like this enough to pull the trigger on it?
No. I mean, minus 250 now, minus 195. When it opened up, it opened too low. But now it's just too high. And again, it's tough to lay these favorites in these fights. But Quarantillo will win this fight. He's a Tampa kid. He beat that Spike Carlisle, who a lot of people like. You know, Spike Carlisle seems to be a fan favorite of sorts. But he beat him, and he beat Jacob Kilborn. He subbed him. I think Quarantillo will win this fight.
Philly Godfather, do you have something on this fight?
I think Nelson should have stuck to hockey and not dropped that hockey stick. I think Quarantillo beats him. I mean, I'll lay 200. I'll lay 250. I think Quarantillo beats him. And there's a real good friend of mine is really sharp in UFC. He bet him pretty big, so take it for what it is.
And Matt, do you have something on this fight? Do you also want to say anything negative about our neighbors from the north? You want to join Joey on it and his new wear that he got out of his suitcase and bash Canadians?
They do wear the red Speedos in Miami and Daytona Beach. I've noticed that about the Canadians when I was down there, all the Canadian tourists. So that always rubbed me a little the wrong way. And they're always too small for them. They got the big beard. I don't know. I don't want to talk about it no more.
There goes our Canadian audience.
There goes our entire Canadian audience. We've lost the entire country up to the north.
Was Wayne Gretzky from Canada? Was Wayne Gretzky from Canada?
But he left. He left.
They all leave. Except for GSP. I guess he's still up there.
Matt, do you have something on this fight?
Yeah, my guy Gotham City Vig in the chat. He said he liked Eubanks. I liked Eubanks. Now he's saying he likes Quarantillo, and I'm on the same side as him.
Gotham City's no joke. I'm just letting you know. Gotham City is no joke when it comes to the UFC.
He's the man. But coming in here, Nelson's 1-2, I think, in the UFC, and he came in here guaranteeing a first-round knockout, if I'm not mistaken, which is always a recipe for disaster. And so I'm looking at the average. 2.73 significant strikes, but in 21 minutes. But the thing is, the problem is he's taking 6.35. And then we're looking at Quarantillo, and Quarantillo, he's averaged 7.43 significant strikes per minute with 3 total takedowns in 28 minutes in the UFC. We call him Billy Q. He's only lost once in his last 13 fights. The dude can fight. I mean, his last fight, I think he defeated Spike, what's his name? Carlisle. And to me, he's proven he can go through adversity. He's proven like he can get through and win in these wars. He's shown he can knock people out and submit them efficiently. I like Quarantillo here.
And Joy, did you say you like the under?
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes under. I think Quarantillo wins. I think it goes under.
Matt, can you hurry up and get on Bet Grande and bet Quarantillo? Because Coach just hit me up again. He likes Nelson. Can you bet that real quick?
Really?
Doing it right now.
He thinks it's the Rock Group, Nelson. The Rock Group.
I would say we miss Coach, but we don't. That's a joke. I hope Coach is listening. Next fight is a lightweight fight. Bobby Green is minus 290, at least earlier today. Bobby Green is 26-10-1 in the octagon. He's 8-2 as far as KOs, TKOs, 9-2 as far as submissions. He's had 2 fights this year. He won both against Fanata and Guida. It is a lightweight matchup. As I mentioned, fighting Alan Patrick, who is plus 245. He's a Brazilian southpaw with a 15-2 record, 4-2 as far as KOs, TKOs, 2-0 as far as submissions. However, he lost his last fight at KO in the 3rd round, 2018, October. Has not fought in a couple years. Philly Godfather, what do you have on this?
Yeah, originally Bobby Green opened up minus 185. 190-ish. And the sharp money pounded Bobby Green here. Push it all the way up to minus 275. So there's some real sharp money on Bobby Green here.
Joey, do you have something on this?
I like Bobby Green. Patrick, 37-year-old Brazilian. You always wait, you look at these guys and you say, man, when are they going to get long in the tooth? Good record. I mean, he's 15-2, but he's been stopped twice by KO. His last bout was he got stopped in the third round in his last bout, but he lost the first 2 rounds. It wasn't like when he was getting his ass kicked, I believe. I think Bobby Green wins this fight. He's got a little momentum going for him. He does have double-digit losses, but he beat that. He beat Clay Guida. He beat that Lando Vanette as well. So I think Bobby Green. I like Bobby Green here. And Bobby Green, you know what? Bobby Green just gave that. It was pretty cool. He gave his post-fight interview. If you remember, that was the post-fight interview where I believe he's adopted by a white family. Bobby Green, he's African-American, adopted by a white family. And it was kind of breaking down. His post-fight interview made just one of the few times where a guy talks after a fight, and it was actually pretty deep. He brought his dad on and everything, and he said, look, I was raised by these people, and let's all, let's all this nonsense stop. It was pretty heavy. So anyway, I think that Bobby Green's in the spot to win here. I think that the company probably wants to see Bobby Green win this fight.
Billy, I
didn't really have time to research the fight. I don't know much about Patrick because I was a little too busy betting Army with every out I have. Basically everywhere lane 19 and a half, 20. We moved that line to 22 and a half.
Coach thought that was too much.
Yeah, I'm glad Coach eventually jumped on the bandwagon and bet it. They're only up by 30
What's Notre Dame doing?
But anyone with the last name of Green, I'm betting Bobby Green. Green makes green. I'm with Joey. I'm betting Bobby Green.
Matt, do you have something on this fight?
I didn't bet anything. I didn't really do anything on this fight, but a lot of sharp people that I know, they're on Bobby Green here. So I think Bobby Green's the right side. Joey loves him. So
how can Bobby Green not be the right side? Remember when you were a kid and you pulled up in the green machine and everybody was jealous? Anything with the word green in it, you got to fire.
Billy Godfather, Alan Patrick, Brazilian southpaw, hasn't fought since October 6th. Lost his last fight, but hadn't fought in almost 2 years. How long do you go before you start discounting that when a fighter hadn't fought?
That's big, man. I mean, a 2-year layoff, you're rusty, your timing. You might be in shape, or you might think you're in shape. You might have done some sparring. But when you get into a real fight, it's completely different. The lights are on. The pressure's on. I mean, a 2-year layoff, there's got to be a reason why he hasn't been fighting. It could be a number of, different ones. People got issues, problems, financial. And if you add it all up, it's just too long to lay off. 2 years is just way too much.
Next fight is a light heavyweight matchup. Ed Herman is a plus 190. He has 40 fights in the octagon. He is 26-14, 7-3 as far as KOs, TKOs, 14-6 as far as submissions. He's won his last 2 fights, both in 2019. His first fight in the UFC was in 2006, 14 years ago. He's 39 years old. Fighting Mike Rodriguez, who is minus 230, a southpaw, 11-4 record, 9-1 as far as KOs, TKOs, 2-1 as far as submissions. He won a fight just 21 days ago against Preshow, and he's 31 years old. The over-under is 1.5. Cost you minus 140 to bet the over on this. Philly Godfather, where do you have the money?
Yeah, I don't want to interrupt you because you were breaking down everything so eloquently, but Rodriguez is the actual favorite. He's at minus 240. He opened up at minus, 235. It moved about 10 cents. A lot of the betting public is on Herman. Right around 64% of the betting public's taking a dog here. No sharp money on either fighter, according to Dave Mason down at Bet Online. So,
Joy, do you have something on this fight?
No, but when I was downstairs earlier, if I'm going to bet a dog here, I'm going to bet Herman on this card because Rodriguez is just, either Rodriguez smashes him or Herman grinds it out. As far as the total, what total? What do they got on the total over there?
It's juiced towards the over minus 135, over 1.5, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm looking for a 2.5. I'd go under 2.5 in this fight for sure. I think Herman, will grind him out and maybe stop him, or Rodriguez smashes Herman. This is a Boston kid. Rodriguez trains up there with those Rosan and those guys. and he's back on. It's his second fight in like what 2 or 3 weeks. And Herman's a company guy. It's tough to I look at Herman as maybe the public. It's a bout that everybody can relate to. You know what I mean? As far as Herman and the numbers not going down. I'm probably going to bet Herman later. I tell you, I can't bet Rodriguez in this fight. Absolutely, I won't bet Rodriguez in this fight. I don't care if he wins in 2 minutes by knockout. I got to go with Herman. Herman's won his last 2 fights. He beat that in Braganov, and he beat the kid from Penn State.
Joey, how much weight you put into what city they come from, what gym they come out of? I mean, when you're looking at these fighters, do you add a little extra if they come from a tougher gym and they surround themselves with some better fighters?
Well, there was a while where some of these gyms run hot and cold, but I mean, by the time something becomes a trend, it turns itself around. You see that, like AKA, when Kane was winning and Rockhold was winning and everybody was winning, they're rocking their own. Then all of a sudden, Kane gets beat, Rockhold gets beat, Cormier gets beat too. Well, Cormier, he kept winning, but needless to say, I don't put a lot of stock into that. It's tough when you get guys. A lot of times, like if you got a guy in the main event, and you know how it is. The trainers are focused on their stars, and if you got a guy on the undercard that's training with a big gym, he might not get the same attention during the camp as the guy that's in the main event in a really tight bout gets. I mean, it just they'll say it's not true, but one guy will just become like a sparring partner kind of thing. I don't know. I don't put a lot of stock in the camps because you don't know. I mean, so much crazy shit goes on, and with those camps, I mean, you want to book those trainers. I mean, because most of them think their guy's going to win. I mean, a lot of them are delusional.
Now, which fighter benefits the UFC, Joe? Like, is there a lean on any of these fighters that would that the UFC would want to see win when it pertains to the judges, or no?
Well, with this fight here, I mean, Herman's the sentimental favorite. And Rodriguez is the new. He's from Boston, and a lot of UFC fans up there. That's probably, I mean, that's why that number's staying above, where it's at now. I think Herman will give an honest fight. I like to think, this kid, again, Rodriguez come back on like 2-3 weeks notice. And for the most part, I don't want to say champs don't do that, but, he's on the payroll. He's coming in. It's a job for him. It's a pay, another fight, another dollar. And whereas some of these fights are more spaced out. Basically, I'm saying Mike Rodriguez is never going to be UFC champ, but he's going to be he's going to be a tough undercard kind of fighter. Same with Ed Herman. His best days are behind him, but I mean Herman's a crafty veteran. Herman's got 39 fights, 39 fights, and he won his last 2. He beat it was Patrick Cummins. He beat the kid from Penn State, who I thought was a pretty tough fighter. Good wrestler. I think Herman, might if Herman keeps his hands up. He either gets knocked out or he can grind out a decision here. Maybe stop Rodriguez.
I didn't touch the fight, but there's always been 2 mindsets in boxing, and it's probably the same in the UFC. Some guys, some trainers think, fighters need more rest after a fight, maybe a month, 2 months, 3 months layoffs. And then there's other trainers who think, if a fighter's fighting every month, he's a lot sharper. He's always in the ring. He's always in the line of battle. He's always in the heat. He's always getting off. His timing is better. He's sharper. And if I had to bet someone here, I'd bet Rodriguez because he only fought a couple weeks ago. I think he's going to be sharper here than Herman. Even though Herman does have a lot of experience. I mean, I didn't touch the fight, but I know there's some real sharp money on Rodriguez that I respect. But I haven't touched this fight.
Matt,
I wrote that. I'm sorry. I wrote right there. I wrote, Herman looks like a live dog that won't win. And that's, he looks. If you look at this whole card, he said, "What dog did he give me on this card? It's going to give an honest fight." You say, "Well, Ed Herman," because I've seen, everybody's seen most Ed Herman's fights.
And there's a lot of public. There's a lot of public money on Herman as well. Yeah. And I never want to be on the same side. I'm not saying that in a negative way. I'd rather be on the other side than the public side.
For sure.
Matt, which side are you on?
I didn't have any side on this one. I didn't like the fight too much. It was a pass for me.
Next fight is a flyweight matchup. It is Roxanne Modafferi against Andrea Lee. They both, in their last losses, lost. They both got knocked out of the top 10 flyweights by Lauren Murphy, who's a 7th-ranked flyweight. In the last fight, Andrea Lee lost a split decision to Murphy, and Modafferi lost a unanimous decision to Murphy. Roxanne Modafferi is the dog here at plus 250. Her record is 24-18. She's 4-1 as far as KOs, TKOs, 5-3 as far as submissions. Fighting Andrea Lee, who is by far a 3-1 favorite, minus 300. 11-4 is her record. 2-0 as far as submission KOs, TKOs. 4-1 as far as submissions. The over/under is 2.5, and this afternoon when I checked it is by far the worst odds for taking the over at minus 450. Philly Godfather, what do you have?
Yeah, Andrea Lee opened up minus 360. It's dropped down to minus 305 at Bet Online. The public's all over Andrea Lee here, like right around 58%. There's no sharp money on either fighter here or the total, so that's about it, Jay.
Joey, what do you have on this fight?
You know, Roxanne Modafferi, I mean, she looks alive on paper, but she got, you know, she's 24-17. I mean, she lost 17 times, so it's not like there's a special blueprint on how to beat her. I think, you know, I think that unless she gets, takes Lee down and holds her down for 3 rounds and wins a decision, I gotta like, and it pains me because the price is so high. You know, if this price was picked, I'd like Lee. You know, and even, you know, she's priced right. She's the right favorite. You know, I want to like Roxanne here, but I can't. Lee will win this fight.
Philly Godfather, do you have something on this fight?
No, I got absolutely nothing on this fight, JBL.
Matt, do you have something on this fight?
Nothing on the fight. Yeah, I think Joey's about right. I know Lee, you know, she can kickbox, this, that. She has a boxing background and all, but I don't know, man. We're looking at Modafferi. She's 24-17, a 42nd MMA fight. Just tough to bet on Modafferi here. I passed on this one.
I had a college coach one time. He was recruiting a guy, and the guy had a broken jaw, and he said, "You can tell he's tough. He got into a fight." I said, "How about we recruit the guy who kicked his ass? It'd be a lot easier." You know, you got these two fighters. Both have lost to Lauren Murphy, and both have a uninspiring record. I don't mean to bash the two, but kind of rather see Lauren Murphy fight. Next fight is a Moroccan matchup. I've got this sword in Morocco. I got this in Tangier. Got back into Spain off the ferry and got arrested for this sword. Got thrown in jail. They actually gave me the sword later, but that's my Moroccan
Coach
sword.
probably told on.
Coach Stooge.
Coach rat you out?
Yep. And I have that Moroccan sword out because we have a Moroccan fighter, Atman Azater. He is 12-0, the other undefeated fighter on the card. He is, out of those 12 victories, 11 he stopped people. He's 9-0 as far as KOs, TKOs, 2-0 as far as submissions. He's known as the Moroccan Bulldozer. UFC debut was September 7th, 2019. We have a KO of Pakistan. He is fighting Kama Worthy, who is 16-6. He is known as the Death Star. 9-5 as far as KOs, TKOs, 3-1 as far as submissions. He has not lost since May of 2017. He defeated Pena in June. The over-under stands at 1.5. Cost you minus 132 to bet the over in this fight between these two lightweights. Philly Godfather, what do you have?
Yeah, Azatar originally opened up as a favorite. Now it's flipped. Kama Worthy's the favorite at minus 125. There's some real sharp money on Azatar. This fight's basically a 50-50 split, the betting public. But there's some real sharp money on Azatar here.
Joy, do you have something on this fight?
Yeah, I bet Azatar. He opened like Philly Godfather said. He opened like $1.75, $1.85, and now the favorites crossed over. You know, here's the thing with this Azatar. I mean, his last 6 fights. KO round 1 it ended. Round 1 KO 3. Round 1. Then it was a decision. Round 1. I mean, it's like you know, he's going to come out there throwing heat. I think he's going to find Worthy's chin. You know, Worthy's been stopped 5 times. Well, he's been knocked out 5 times, and he's been subbed once. Won 7 in a row. You know, stats-wise, I like the German kid. I think they had it right the first time. I think that when you're in a position like this where a guy, you know, where the consent, where, you know, these guys open him up $1.75, whoever put this number up, stayed there for a little bit, and then it got bet all the way down. And I think they might have moved it over too quick. I think Azatar is the right side here. I bet Azatar. I need Azatar. And I'm getting him at plus money.
And just for those listening out there, he's a Moroccan fighter that's living in Germany now, so that's the reference to the German kid. Philly Godfather, do you have something on this fight?
I agree 100% with Joey here. I'm on Azatar. I bet it already. He should be the favorite. just don't know why Common Worthy's a favorite right now. I like Azatar. I like plus 105. I'll bet it every day of the week, twice on Sunday.
Yeah.
Matt, do you have something else?
Originally on this game, on this fight, I was liking Worthy, and reason so was I thought he'd be able to come out, use his length and height to his advantage, and slow Azatar down by forcing him into rushing, playing, using his range and everything, and then countering. But now at the price, you got to take Azatar. It's, what is it now? Plus 110, if I'm correct? Yeah. The fight, is at worst a coin flip. And if it's a coin flip, you're taking a plus 110. But honestly, I originally thought Worthy was the right move when the line opened. I didn't get to bet it, and then it came down. Now, though, I'm looking to bet on Azatar. Azatar, he's a bulldozer. He's 12-0 in the MMA. He's knocked out, 9? He has 9 knockouts. He's just he's gone through all 12 of his opponents like it's nothing.
Also,
I think Azatar's the right side now.
Yeah, I just got a text from Coach. He likes Worthy. So do me a favor, Matt. Hit up those accounts in New York and upgrade Azatar to a 2% move.
That's 4 times on Sunday night. You bet it. Are you guys any of you guys touching the over/under on this? It's a consensus that Azatar probably wins, but anybody touching the over/under on this? It's 1.5 rounds on one of only 3 fights on the card with 1.5 rounds.
That's tough. If anything, Worthy can fight a little bit. If anything, I'd lean towards the over. I haven't bet it though. I don't want to give something out that I didn't bet.
Yeah, I didn't bet it. I didn't bet the total. I just need Azatar.
Okay. Go through. We're up to the main event, so we can go through the card now, just so people that are watching can write down what the picks were. First fight: Sabine Mazzo versus Justine Kish. Joey liked Sabine Mazzo. Matt liked the over, but thought the price was too high. A little sharp money was on Justine Kish. The next fight: Vinny Barbarino, Brian Barbarino. We had all of the crew, Joey, PG, and Matt. Thought it was basically a coin flip, and if that's the case, they go with Anthony Ivy as the dog. Next fight is a Brock Weaver versus Jalen Turner. Public is on Brock Weaver. There was no sharp money. Price was too high for any of our guys to touch it. It's going to be a recurring theme for the next couple of fights, because the next fight's Alexander King Kong Romanov against Roque Martinez. No sharp money again. Joey leaned on the under, as did the Philly Godfather. Is that correct, Philly Godfather? You did lean on the under on the – yep. Lean on the under. No sharp money on either side. The next fight, guess what? No sharp money on this fight. Roosevelt Roberts, Kevin Crum. Philly Godfather liked the over in this. And the other two, Matt and Joey Odessa, did not have a view on this. The next fight was a woman's fight, the bantamweight fight. Guess what? No sharp money on this fight. The Philly Godfather and Matt liked Eubanks here as the dog. Joey leaned Julie Avila minus 270. Next fight is the main card, a featherweight fight, Billy Q versus Kyle Nelson. We got sharps, Joey, Philly Godfather, and Matt all on Billy Q. And Joey liked the under on this. Next fight is Bobby Green, the Green Machine. Joey liked the Green Machine. Philly Godfather liked the name, the Green Machine. Next fight is Ed Herman against Mike Rodriguez. Some sharp money was on Mike Rodriguez. No sharp money was on, that's the next fight. Joey had Ed Herman here as a live dog that he's not convinced could win.
It won't win.
So not a very ringing endorsement. He's a live dog that won't win. Yeah, so take that for what it's worth.
And there's some sharp money on Rodriguez and under 1.5 plus 15 on that fight too.
Sharp money at under 1.5 on Rodriguez.
Yeah.
All right. And you two guys did not lean at all on that. I didn't have a note for Rodriguez for Matt and Philly Godfather, right?
Didn't have anything.
I'd bet Rodriguez. If I gun to my head, I'd bet him. You know what I mean?
Next fight is the women's match. Another women's flyweight match, Modafferi versus Andrea Lee. Guess what? No sharp money on the fight. Joey thought the price was too high to take Andrea Lee. Next fight is the Moroccan Bulldozer out of Germany versus the Death Star, Otman Azatar versus Kama Worthy. Sharp money, Philly Godfather, Matt, Joy, and the Philly Godfather said 2 times on Sunday until he found out that Coach was betting on Worthy, and now it's 4 times on Sunday. So Azatar. So now we are to the main event of the evening. It is Michelle Waterson at plus 102. It's a strawweight matchup. These odds were taken a few hours earlier. Strawweight matchup against Angela Hill, who's minus 122. Michelle Waterson is 17-8. She's 3-1 as far as KOs, TKOs, 9-3 as far as submissions. She has lost her last 2 fights that she's had. Angela Hill has also lost her last fight. She's 12-8, 5-0 as far as KOs, TKOs, 0-2 as far as submissions. She has fought 3 times in 2020. The last fight was a controversial split decision loss to Gandela. She's defeated this year by unanimous decision Luke Bonmi and Cyphers by KO. And just as a note, she is the first African-American woman to headline a main event at UFC. So congratulations to Miss Angela Hill. It is a strawweight matchup. 4.5 rounds is the over-under. Minus 275 is to take the over. Is the cost. Philly Godfather.
Yeah, Hill opened up as a favorite, minus 35 cents, minus 135. And the sharps bet the other side. It's down to minus 125, minus 120, depending on where you shop. So there's some sharp money on Waterson. The total opened up, what was it? The over's juice minus 280, over 4.5. So right now, as of right now, I think the betting public's betting Hill at like 62%. So, but the sharp money's on the other side. So the public's on Hill, sharp money's on Waterson.
Joy, is that how you see it?
Yeah, I think that I betting this fight that doesn't scare me, but going to it'd probably go to a decision, and when Angela, I'd hate to bet Waterson see her get robbed. I think Waterson's the right side here. I was down in the casino earlier with Phil Baroni, the father. Phil Baroni's senior. I was with him. He said something. He said it's Angela Hill. He bet Waterson too. He's got a pretty good opinion, and said he didn't like the way Angela Hill looked on the scales and things like that. I don't put a lot of stock into the scales, but yeah, I mean the majority. Just down at the casino. I mean the sharper guys I was talking to, they like Waterson this fight. And, PG, I was going to say, that Russian kid. I mean that Russian kid. Jesus, the Moroccan kid fighting out of Germany. A 155 pounder. That's the same. That's Eddie Alvarez's weight. So I'm sure that these guys are competitive guys. I'm sure that he's got an opinion. I know that I would always keep an eye on guys that were my weight class wrestling, and I'm sure that Eddie might have a really good, some good insight into Kamal Worthy and where that fight will end up. For what it's worth, I mean, maybe he'll call you if he's watching the show or something.
Yeah, I'll hit him up. If he gives me anything, I'll give it out on Twitter. What's that, Jay?
Do you have something on the main event here with Waterson versus Hill?
I hate betting women fights. I mean, we talk about it I talk about it every week. I just never know what to expect. I'm always end up on the wrong side. I mean, I got to go with the sharp money. I'm not going to go with the public here. I'll take the dog here.
And Matt, do you have something on this fight?
Yeah, I actually nibbled on Waterson. I think she's the right side here. She has an all-around game. I mean, we'll look at Hill. Hill is probably, throughout his career, this is probably maybe the best we've seen her. I just don't think it's still enough to get over Waterson here. I mean, Waterson, I know Hill's good. She's good on her feet. She's going to want to keep the fight on her feet and stand up. But, I mean, Waterson can stand up. She can take you to the ground. And the problem is Hill, that's her weakness right there. If Waterson can take her down and get the fight to the ground, she'll be able to exploit her weakness and take the win. And I think that's what might happen here.
Well, there you have it. That is our show, Follow the Action. But as we always do, Joy Odessa obviously is looking forward to the UFC, the Philly Godfather. What's the most interesting thing you're looking at as far as sports betting this week, as far as NBA, NFL? What's the most interesting matchup that you yourself personally are looking forward to watch?
Big Ben is back. I want to see how Ben Roethlisberger performs. I think this Pittsburgh team is very, very dangerous. Last year they had one of the worst offenses in football, yet they had arguably the best defense in football. So you got to remember their defense was on the field, all day long last year with a real bad offense. Their offense was ranked 30th overall in offensive efficiency, and yet they led the league in sacks Number one in the adjusted sack rate on the defensive line at getting after the quarterback. So this team this year, if this defense could be 90% of what they were last year, and then you add Big Ben, and if he's 100% healthy, you got to watch out, man. I took him against the Giants. I think they cover the spread easily. Watch out for Big Ben.
He's lost a bunch of weight, right? He's coming to camp pretty good shape, right?
He looks like he's got something to prove.
It's a scary thing when you got a quarterback that plays that well under pressure. He looks like a truck driver. He doesn't look like a great. If you picked out quarterbacks, you'd pick him out as a truck driver. What a great quarterback.
Guys just bounce off him, trying to sack him all day long. I mean,
good guy.
And he can still play. I mean, he's been clutch for so many years. He won a couple Super Bowls. I mean, Big Ben is the real deal.
Matt, what's the most interesting thing you're looking forward to in the next couple of days?
NFL, huge day. We finally had the NFL back. NFL Sunday. I mean, you can't ask for nothing more right now. This is sports heaven. I said it at the beginning of the show. It's just the best of everything. I'm looking towards the Miami Heat series where they take on the Celtics. And we have NFLs, even though I think they're going to have some trouble with the Redskins. But, yeah, just all around everything. I mean,
yeah, no Miles Sanders, man. No Miles Sanders. That hurts him a little bit. You know what I mean?
Huge.
Matt, you're right now the Miami Heat are plus 110 to win the series. Slight dogs. You had them to beat the Milwaukee Bucks. Did you have them going potentially to the NBA championship? I mean, because they certainly could now. I mean, this matchup is very, very close. They have with the Boston Celtics coming up, and they could easily win it and end up in the championship. Did you have them early, or did you just think they had matched up good against the Bucks?
I think they matched up good against the Bucks, and throughout the series, I was watching Boston versus Toronto, and it was a fight to the end, Game 7, and even in Game 7 it was tough, but Boston ended up pulling it out. Now, I think Miami is going to come in Tuesday. I think they play Tuesday, and is going to win that game. Boston's coming off of Game 7, a huge, tough series in which they had to rule out, and they barely got out. And we look at the matchups. Look at the matchups when they versed Milwaukee. We saw Giannis, okay? Who did he have to go up against when who was defending him? He had to go up against Iguodala, Jay Crowder, Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, and these guys, okay? Now we're looking at Jason Tatum. We're looking at Jalen Brown and these players. And look at the matchups. Same thing. They're going to be matching up with Iguodala, Jay Crowder, Jimmy Butler. They're going to make it hard on them, just like Toronto Raptors did. Look at Pascal Siakam when he was covering Tatum, you had Brown. Just like Toronto matched up well on the defensive end against Boston, same way Miami is. But the thing about Miami is they can hit you from every single angle, and they have Jimmy Butler, who's just a superstar. The dude's a monster, okay? Now we have the young kid in Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero. They're not afraid of the moment. These guys can play, and they're going to really I think they're going to take the series.
There you have it, guys. That is Follow the Action. Don't forget to download us on Apple and Spotify. As always, you can catch all of our videos. Everything we do is on YouTube, also called Follow the Action. Thank you very much for joining us. Enjoy the fights tonight, and good luck this week on all of your sports watching and your sports betting.
Let's go, baby. Circuit contest. Let's win it all this year.
Yeah.
The Frozen Tundra.